Okay, we got interrupted by the telephone, but we're back now. So let me start this question all over. What would you recommend for someone just starting in this field of early childhood?
I would recommend that they go above and beyond getting a degree in early childhood education and actually having job embedded professional development, because we can all go to all kinds of professional development and training, but when we embed it in our daily job responsibilities with coaches on board to guide us, it makes more sense. So it's more practical than the idealistic approach.
How do you see that playing out, like, for example, in our organization?
I can see where we would almost have like internships with college students who sign on to work here while going to college, and that we work with the college coordinating teachers and with our supervising teachers here on board to embed their training.
Like almost as a practicum?
Like a practicum.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's interesting. I like that idea.
A practicum, or like what years ago, what they used to call it,
clinical?
not an internship, but the silversmith was learning the trade. Apprenticeship. Yes, like having an apprenticeship. Educators need apprenticeships because you can learn all you want to in a college classroom, but to learn it is a lot different than applying it.
That's true. It is. It's so true, because I feel that I have tons and tons of book knowledge, but practical experience, I mean, that's what takes, and that's where you really learn. Everyone says that you don't learn anything in education is when you're student teaching. That's when you do a lot of your learning. And
you learn the basics in education, your college courses that you take, but then you have to, when you do your student teaching or you come out as a first year teacher, then you have to figure out, okay, how am I going to apply this? I can look at my paras now and say, I want you to intertwine, language literacy activities throughout everything you do in the day. I can give them the knowledge and the training how to do that, but to apply it is a lot different than just having the knowledge of what to do.
Kind of like having a student driver. You show them and then they do it while you're watching. And then pretty soon they can go out on their own.
Yes. They never touch a car until after all the training, and then you give them a car and send them out on the road.
Okay, that's scary.
Yeah.
Okay. So what would you recommend for someone who wanted to start in the field of early childhood special education? Because that's even a little more specialized than just early childhood.
The same thing. It has to be an apprenticeship with a qualified special education teacher that has been in it for years and knows the ins and outs of everything, has the experience of how to write, create, implement age-appropriate activities for that child's present level of performance and all other areas of special education, and they work with that teacher to learn it. And they can take the college courses along with that. Mm-hmm. But I think student teaching needs to become, instead of a half year or semester of being in a classroom for whatever part
weeks.
Of that, 12 weeks, that it's a year-long apprenticeship.
So you can
on-the-job training is very valuable.
And truly learn. Because
Mm-hmm.
going into a student teaching second semester, you miss all of that, organizing the classroom, getting the kids in a routine, all that stuff that you really need to learn.
Mm-hmm.
So when
if you're there from day one, then you're going to see how you have to set up transitions, how you have to set up your schedule, how you have to set up all aspects of the early childhood classroom.
Everything you have to consider, and then the things you have to change after the children start, and you have to adjust for
how you modify it. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So what do you see as part of the future of early childhood education? You know, they're starting now with that birth to 5 credentialing for teaching certificates and starting to do some things to make it more professional.
I see that here in the near future, I really do think that there's going to be a swing to make all early childhood professionals certified, certified in education in that level.
With either a license or a CDA, something like that?
No, with a teaching certificate. And I also see where the trend is going to start leaning towards all early childhood education teachers have to not only be certified in regular education, but also special education. They will need dual certification to be a lead teacher in a preschool classroom.
So for like example, our ABC program where they require a certified teacher and a CDA para.
That will stay the same as long as all classrooms have at least a certified teacher as the
In the
lead.
classroom. And who's going to pay for this? Just well, thinking in a private
They-
child care thing, who can afford to pay the child care rates to pay a certified teacher comparable to what they get in public school?
I think there's eventually going to be a division between early childhood education that's part of a public school system or a private school, and that a lot of these so-called at-home daycares, at-home preschools, they're gonna start disappearing
Well,
because licensing is changing.
right. So isn't that already coming?
That's already happening, yes.
Mhm.
And so I think the qualifications are as they say, the bar's gonna be raised.
So how many of these home daycares are just going to end up just being unlicensed? Because if you're not licensed, you don't have to follow that licensing regulation about having a bachelor's degree or a teaching degree.
None of them will be. All of them will have to be licensed because of the licensing laws say that if you have so many kids, you have to be licensed, otherwise you can't have a daycare.
What about that one
That's-
down yonder?
That's why I'm saying that eventually they're all going to have to become part of a system.
If they want to,
Whether it's a co-op system, whether it's a Department of Ed category, or whether it's part of a public school system, they're all going to have to become part of a system.
if they want the benefits of the system, like to accept vouchers or to be,
Yes.
I say to be an ABC
You can
program.
have an at-home daycare center if you're only going to have 3 kids. We call that babysitting.
Well, they might call it Miss Polly's preschool. Or
Yeah, they
something.
might.
They might.
They might. And so it's going to change that way. I think wherever everyone is going to be accountable to become more specialized, and to have a professional degree in more than one area.
So how do you see that affecting us here at our place of employment? I mean, I know we work under the supervising teacher model, and until DDS changes that, that's what we're going to follow.
Well, how it's going to affect us at the beginning is it's going to affect our budget bottom line because we're going to have to pay more for those people for those individuals who do meet the qualifications. If those qualifications are, you have to have at least one certified teacher in each classroom.
Right. And it'd be finding, I always felt
And it
it'd
would
be
be
finding
Yes.
a certified special ed teacher or someone willing to get that special ed certification.
But I think it would also create some really neat co-op relationships with some of our 4-year institutions, our 4-year universities, because like I said, if we have apprenticeships, they get their training there, they get the book part of their training, academics from the college, they have a job when they're finished because they're here.
But I always felt that part of our problem is that we are so far from, even anyone that's going to school in Fayetteville or in Harrison at NAC or at NWAC, you're still looking at almost a full hour's drive each
But that's
way.
why so many colleges are coming up with more online programs. So if you do job-embedded training, apprenticeships, you could have the other part, the academic part, the book part, the ideal part. You could have it online, and then the application with certified teachers, supervising teachers, just like in a supervising teacher model, then they would be the cooperating teachers that would be overlooking and supervising those apprentices that are in the classroom.
Isn't that just adding one more thing to your list of things to do, though? As a supervising teacher, there's so much to do.
And no, because I think what happens then is we start having the classroom teachers be responsible for a caseload. Once they become a certified classroom teacher, they have a caseload.
Okay.
And that's why I think the trend is going to start changing from just being certified early childhood education, but you also have to have a special education certification also.
Okay, so you're a certified classroom teacher, but you only have 14 or 15 kids on your caseload?
Each classroom teacher will have her own caseload, so you're caseloading the kids in your class.
Okay. I'm just thinking this through. It sounds really, really interesting. It sounds really great.
It would be great. There's money in special education.
Okay.
So it doesn't have, like in a DDS center, it does not have to be just Medicaid.
Okay.
Okay? If you have certified special education teachers, then you tap into special ed funds. Okay? You can also tap into title funds in that same center.
Do we have to be associated with the school district to do that?
No, to my knowledge, you don't have to be.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but I don't think you do.
I don't know. I always felt that if there was a way, Carla would have found a way. But Carla still has not done a whole lot yet on Head Start. We've talked about it, doing an early Head Start, but she's never. There's a lot of hoops.
There is a way to do it. It's just that you're governed by more entities than just the Department of Ed and DDS. Then you have to follow title. You have to follow Head Start guidelines.
Well, we follow so many already. What's one more?
Exactly.
So it can be done.
There you go.
In all our spare time.
In all our spare time.
Okay. Do you have anything else that you would like to add about education, about early childhood, about working here, and about your experiences, what you would say to someone brand new, eager, coming in, our new, what's her name?
Candace,
yeah.
the first thing that comes to mind is that it can be and is a very rewarding career if you're willing to be a lifelong learner yourself. Because to come into this kind of career, this field, and think that, well, I don't have to do anything else because I already learned it in college, is you're fooling yourself because things change so much. That you have to be willing to be a lifelong learner. And so that's the only thing I have to add.
Okay. Well, thank you for your time. I appreciate this a whole lot.
You're welcome.